I still don't see Lavelle. Let's see. We're live on Facebook. Let's see where he's at. Yeah, don't see him yet. Let me see here. Message. Okay. All right. Here. All right, let's see. Hopefully he's can make it. All right, we're on Facebook. I'm going to put on a song. I forgot it was on. See if waiting on Lavelle to get in here. Just give me a second. Put a little bit of his music. He's with a really cool group of people called Universal Brothers and Sisters Circle. This is an old song of theirs. It's one of my favorites called Blast Off. Very much an ascension message, a galactic message. If you listen to the words, we'll wait for him to come in while we listen to this.
That's our music, so if you like it, it's holler. It's nothing. Peace.
Work is gone. Work is gone over here. We love the children.
Yeah. I don't know why you thought I was asleep. Huh? Yeah. Go ahead, king me. Check them. Yeah. 144,000 on the ground. Quarter salute the fleet. But the blast off, homie. Hey. Let's go. Been through the astral battle like sounds. On another level, ever like a rebel renegade. Damn flavor, you can flip it so amazing, man. Yeah. It'll been the pillar, make them live it, vanilla. I moved the millennium, familiar with the flipping in the mother loving building. We building full of tripping, son. Look, I got greens, beans, chicken, turkeys, old rats with so much magic. Harry Potter, call me daddy. Yeah. God off the grade, all in your face, all on the base, all in the place. Holla, man, this command fleet, like, yeah. Put the blast off, you about to blast off, man. Put the blast off, you about to blast off, man. Put the blast off, you about to blast off, man. About to blast off. Put the blast off, you about to... Come on. Yo, many millennia, I've been in my tune, keeping cool on my mum, raw, summer solstice, rise, fly, plus thunder, rain while the sun's out, Yeah! They dance with a honk in the gold blue headdress, rose little juice, and my challenge me the lamp is take me a sip for I really get the rapping, yo. Come on, baby. Really get it pop up for the free peep. How we get busy in the deep, so deep that the underrated really still worry about what it's gonna be. Yeah. We got the whole thing on quarantine. Going harder than the mother lover, go salute the colors when we come through. Too cool, doing what we do, boo. Yeah. With them speakers on the roof. Butter on the mother, yo. Bro, they call me Diamond Sport Angelo. Light work animal. Shine so bright, the dark know not to run up on me, yo. Blast off, but the blast off, homie. Hold the blast off, but the blast off, homie. But the blast off, homie. Love, but the blast off on. Yeah.
Universal Brothers and Sisters Circle. All right, let's get him in here. He's in. I see you, Lavelle. Hang on. All right. Let me get your unmuted. Start video. Let's see. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. There you are.
Boom, boom.
Long time no see, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's going on, T?
Man, just hanging out by the pool, you know, over here, hoping it doesn't snow. I just want to say to everybody real quick, it looks like we're being suppressed again. No biggie. You know what? We're just going to integrate any energies. There's no opposition, but if you could share, we'd like to get this video out in particular. It's a powerful day. Lavelle's been doing this work for a long, long time. And if you could just share it to your page or to a group, we'd appreciate it. Lavelle Zimmerman, I don't even know where to start with you. I've been having dimensional experiences with you since 2015, late 2015. And you know, you were out there doing this. You were doing stuff 5 years ago, very consistent with what you had to say. you're still that way. And you've, inspired me, and you've inspired a lot of people, especially those that felt peculiar and weird because of the information they were receiving. But you're out there showing the way and letting everyone know it's okay to be yourself, So I just want to big props to you always, and thank you.
Extremely humble. Once again, a great pleasure and honor to connect with you. It brings me great joy to be here, and of course, it's been a while. Always in this now moment, but indeed, it's always refreshing to connect in the physical. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Well, I noticed, like in the early days of this show, which would go back to, it's like 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first people that I felt really good about getting on was you. And I think we would have been at about 100 shows, 150 shows. And you started coming on, and we had a lot of great shows. We had a lot of collaborations with the Universal Brothers and Sisters Circle. I love y'all's music, But one of the things I noticed, things have been moving so fast this year. I mean, it's just been mind blowing, and it's amazing to watch people transform and grow, especially when you see people that are already putting it out there.
That's right.
And I noticed this, and I mean this in the highest compliment. Mm-hmm. Over the last couple of months, something's gotten into you. I don't know what happened, if you turned on the turbochargers, but did something happen? Did you go through anything? Because you look like you just went bananas, man. I mean, your illumination just went into warp drive.
Wow. The question simply, yes. A strike of, wow. I surprisingly at a loss for words at the moment, but
well, it's interesting because it's a combination. It's so weird to try to find words for this, but we see each other, we see certain people, and of course we have more kindredness or resonance. But looking at you, I could see a greater humility, a greater peace, and this is way beyond cliche. I know you've had some health challenges. Mm-hmm. The way you've handled that always. I was watching a video. I was going through your old videos the other day, and I was watching you going down the hospital corridor, just turned on the camera and just being straight. But so there's like a greater humility, a greater peace, a greater knowing. But I don't know, just and I've seen it in some other people, but it was very striking to me, and it helped me because this isn't always an easy journey.
It's not. And the integrated nature of everything has brought me back to so many of the original principles and pillars of awakening that's kind of awakened this sense of a deeper level of authenticity and appreciation. And like you said, humility, just being here and recognizing everything and coming to certain levels of understanding, but then having to go back to square one. And of course, going back to square one is it's extremely humbling, but then there's a release of expectation and these filters of identity and what you see in the mirror, like seeing clear, like more clear, just a deeper resonance and a deeper sense of appreciation for self, where that thoroughness and authenticity just it lights a fire. Yeah. And then I, once again, like through the simplicity and recognition of that, wow, everything just, like you said, it just becomes more and more supercharged. Yeah. And then the light that you do have and the recognition of the understandings that you do recognize within yourself, they just highlighted and expanded upon, where it just becomes deeper and more resonant as far as the light is concerned, because of the authenticity. And you get into the depths of something, and then you return back to that simplicity, and then you release some of the pressure, and then it's like, let's talk, let's go.
Yeah, and that's what I love about your what are those things called, when you go into Facebook, the story,
absolutely.
I love to go into your story because, and it's not always even a lot of words. You do talk a little bit, but it's just like you got your stuff set up. It's the ambience, it's the frequency, it's the vibration, it's what you're doing, it's what you're what you're showing people. And it could be a scene, like you've had somewhere like you got the camera rolling on people doing a certain something. But that's the beauty of it, man. It's like, wow, that's okay. It's not always out there. It's not all this stuff we got to do. It's just right here.
Most definitely right here in the moment. And I've not necessarily had any debates, but I've had plenty of conversations with people about these things, like the story. And when it comes to social media and being tasteful as far as the things that you reveal, and when it's too much or too intimate. And for me, I have recognized that the lifestyle that, at least for me, I've chosen as an individual. Okay, I'm not necessarily like for lack of a better term, an attention whore. That's not my thing.
Yeah,
I'm usually very private. It's just that the more steps I've taken throughout the journey, I recognize that life is extremely beautiful and vivid and intricate, and the complexities and simplicities of so many things inspire people on so many different levels. It's just that I feel that taking the lead or being an example is necessary to reveal and express and show aspects of the journey that are valuable, the twists and turns, ups and downs, the experience, not necessarily everything. However, there are significant aspects of proactive creativity and creation and co-creation, correspondence, and travel throughout your journey that connect and resonate with so many people. And when you're transparent and open-hearted about it, and not necessarily like attempting to prove a point, it's just more so, hey, look, I'm doing this, I'm experiencing this, I'm appreciating the moment, I'd like to share. And once again, people resonate and reflect with that. And it's like, yeah, these are the things that are comforting to me alongside, parallel my own journey. People can see parallels in their own journey and experiences. And these are things that are truly appreciated within the depths of my being. So I feel it's necessary and very helpful and natural to reveal and express some of these things within the journey. Once again, the beauty and treasure is in the story. And those who are
Candace Cohen just put magic is in the mundane. And that's another thing about what we were talking about with Lavelle is, you think of fearlessness, and you think of like, you got a breastplate on and a spear in your hand, and, but you're the way that, you kind of, your energy, when I've seen these different videos and we've had conversations and in the normal things in life, the things that Lavelle Zimmerman, the human aspect, has to contend with and integrate and balance and hold on to, you don't resist anything. I've noticed that about you. You could be in the hospital and you'll have the band on your hand and you'll have like a little quote or something, and it's telling me I'm not resisting anything. I'm good. What happens is what happens. I'm more than this human aspect, but I honor and revere this human aspect at the same time. And that's to me as authentic as you can get.
Definitely. You have to, once again, the light. It's necessary to allow everyone to see. I mean, once again, we're family. We are experiencing this journey together, and we're gonna have these experiences that they bring a sense of discomfort sometimes, but the mere acceptance is courageous in itself. The mere acceptance is humbling, and it allows you to embrace the experience as divine. Like, what, this is happening, and this is exactly what's supposed to happen. I trust that this is supposed to happen, and I accept it. And through that acceptance, you allow like this gentle pathway through the bush, if you will, and just moves along. It's riding the wave, but if we can ride the wave and accept the moment, the faster it'll just go by. Like, okay, here is the solution to whatever's before me. But it was my comfort and sense of presence that allowed me to absorb the lesson, if you will, without any sense of resistance or pushback. So it's like, okay, he got it. He's faithful. He understands himself. He recognizes what this is. It's no need to drag this along any longer because he's, obviously ready and he knows what's going on. So, okay, let's move forward. Good job.
This in the last couple of months, a lot of people talked about, I think November and December, every month just, but November, December, almost like it's all been accelerated. We're going into the new year. Everyone's talking about 2020, cleaning everything out. I've had a couple of not meltdowns, but breakthroughs, breakdowns to breakthroughs that lasted, and you go to bed, you break down, you wake up, you break through, and
break through, bro.
And we've talked about this before, how it's easier for us to get through. But what I was going to ask you is, there seems to be a very, very high level of reciprocation occurring now. I remember you talked about a year and a half ago, you talked about a period between 2012 and I think it was 2017. And you said during that period, it was kind of a lull, like we were given some time to clean out our vessels and to do what we had to do, almost like a tuba on the other end, and it opens back up.
Most definitely.
So it seems like there's a high level of reciprocation occurring based on our past and present efforts. Are you experiencing that in your crew? Are you guys experiencing that type of thing?
Okay, so the simple answer is yes. However, the intensity is, wow. Okay, so bear with me.
Yeah.
18 and 19, the revelations have been amazing. The energy has been extremely intense.
Yeah.
However, over the past couple months, it's felt like a squeeze. And the contraction, if you will, has brought up just a small bit of resistance, but at the same time, there's been a lot of energy being received.
Yeah.
A lot of energy being received, a lot of downloads being received, a lot of revisits of experiences, and not necessarily the experience themselves, but the emotional resonance of these past experiences. It's just that we all recognize that right now is a threshold. Over the past couple of weeks, for me individually, the work has been, I've had spurts of creative expression and ideas and readings and things that have come to me naturally. It's just that there's this ping that's saying that this threshold is about implementation. All the things that have taken place heretofore to this point have been seeds that we've been sowing and giving energy to, and realizations and recognitions and reflections of the things that we know we're here to do now without a shadow of a doubt. It's just that 2020, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of timelines. It's just that I recognize the process, and I do recognize energetic thresholds based on energy being built up. However, now at this point, there is a calling and a recognition that it's time for implementation.
Yeah.
The grand stage has been properly built and set up for us to actually activate and become extremely proactive and to place these services on a greater scale, on a bigger stage, if you will.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah.
It's time for implementation. We've, of course, critical mass has, the tipping point is beyond us. However, at this point, it feels as if it's time for display.
Yeah.
Humanity as a whole is ready for these type of communications. They're open to the level of awareness that most of us have been cultivating over the time. It's just that at this point, I feel that we're ready to express these things and proactively implement a lot of what we've recognized or learned or unfolded within ourselves at this time. So this is a very strong manifestation year, and the opportunities are being presented. I said it last year that even though you don't know things or know of things happening and discussions taking place that involve you and your work directly, doesn't necessarily mean they're not happening.
Right.
It's always been happening behind the scenes. It's just that now the stage is set, and what has been displayed, all the creativity and services being created by the masses of us in service to the light, we're ready, and it's time to go.
Yeah, it's time to step up.
It's time to go.
Yeah, right.
It's time to go.
I just watched this. I don't go to the movies much, but I watched this. The last Star Wars just came out.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Well, I've seen the first two. I hadn't seen. This is the ninth one. And, and I'm not going to give away the storyline, but there was a lot of energetic messages, I guess, in the show. Mm-hmm. And one of them was that the entire universal community came to the table, but there was an element, let's just call it the ground crew. Mm-hmm. The ground crew, the us, was out there in the midst of everything, and for lack of a better way to put it, because I don't mean this in violence, but took the fight forward.
Gotcha.
And not knowing, not having any proof or just that the universal family was going to come to the party, which they did. I really, really picked up on that energy. When I saw that, I said, "Wow, this is happening right now."
Most definitely.
And I know you connect every day, and you have your Star Family Galactic connections. Can you shed any light on any intel that you've received lately, or where we're headed? What type of role? And I know it's kind of hard because we got to kind of like digest everything from our human aspects, but that other part of us is coming into play. But do you have any information on that? Do you have any transmissions, any downloads, anything?
You're receiving them. Intuitively, you got it. Once again, the activation part. We're not going to be doing this work alone. And it's been a buildup from the time we awoken we recognized our own abilities to the point in recognizing the presence of our collective. It's just that at this point, the council continues to communicate and have worked directly with me in recent, which was startling. However, it's time. And the communication I've received is, yes, we are going to be working alongside of humanity in a greater capacity. And this is reflective in some of our revelational materialization missions when we, over the past couple of months, we've appeared in so many different capacities for a large portion of humanity, especially those who've been on the fence about our existences. We've appeared and expressed, and they've recognized these realizations are happening every day where the general population are recognizing our presence. It's just that materialization missions, they're starting to become a thing of the past, where now physical manifestation amongst many of you to communicate, to train, to teach. Of course, the night missions have been continuous. However, once again, on a grand scale, in a very physical sense, the co-creation and coexistence with you all is prepared to happen. It's just that the work, the first steps are necessary first. The first steps as far as implementation and moving to this grand stage by all of you, all of us, is necessary first. And as we take these first steps, physical manifestations, appearances, direct communications, not necessarily just telepathically, but directly with you guys right now, are going to start taking place, because it's necessary for us to have this direct guidance to assist us in, being able to address the masses, because some of us are in very strong places of influence or strong positions of influence. So that direct communication and working alongside many of you are going to be necessary.
Yeah.
These are the things that I'm receiving. It's just that it's happening in a very integrated way where the energies, I mean, of course, many of you are sensitive enough to recognize these energies around you constantly. It's just that now it's like, okay, some of you that are on the fence and never had these interdimensional experiences will start to feel and recognize them. And these apparent, not necessarily appearances, but these materializations amongst you all are going to take place. First individually, working up to, of course, the first contact aspect of our journey. So individuals who have been doing the work internally and have been doing the meditations and releasing a lot of fear and have been taking the responsibility and being on these stages of influence will be contacted very soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I that resonates with everything I've received. And, you know, coming from this end of it, you know, with Morgan and I, we've had Star Family come in and materialize. We've had morphine. We've had lots of different things happen. But what I've been picking up on, and I guess it's probably the last 2-3 weeks, the conversations have been like, come on, give it to me. and they're like, are you sure? Are you sure? Yep. Are you ready? And I'm really not very fearful, but I started to realize from the humans, you know, the outside looking in, the human psyche, hey, you better, you know by now, be careful what you ask for anyway. Yeah. So just be ready. But I do feel like from what I'm getting and what I'm watching happen, the team is huge. The teams behind us are just ginormous. We are, I think you said it a minute ago, well past the tipping point. Yep. And this is really a matter of it's almost like energetically it's already happened. We just have to like ease into it. Otherwise, we're going to have a lot of disruption unnecessarily, and we've come too far for that. So
yeah, we don't need that. Once again, as you've expressed it, our beginning numbers were well above 2,050,000. It's just that we've requested extra help, and a lot of this extra help is more so for formalities and to be gentle enough, being that as far as this sector of space is concerned, being a first of many. However, the idea is not to overload humanity. The nervous system is extremely sensitive. The energies here are extremely dense, so it's necessary for us to take our time and ease our way into the experiences. The ego can be extremely tricky and arrogant. Oh, come on, I'm ready, come on. And then, you know what we know what trouble that can lead to, because it showed up plenty times. And it's just an overload. And a lot of times it's not necessarily the individual at heart that has this fear. It's just a lot of old energy that's built up that has to be dealt with before we can establish a solid connection that's sustainable. So
there's a growing school of thought, you know, in regard to co-creation, collaboration, and this being big in 2020. You've got a really tight-knit crew, you know, Universal Brothers and Sisters Circle, you know, Aman and Corey and the whole gang, the whole crew. Yeah. One of the things that people are talking about, we're experiencing it, and we have been, I guess, for a couple of years, but more and more are these gatherings. People being in the same physical, geographical location where the soul coordinates are near each other. People talk about monads. Some of the stuff that we received a while back was you're going to start to see a physical representation or a physical incarnation that is representing a specific part of your monad. So there's these monadic connections, maybe concentric circles. I don't know what the right way to describe it is, but like they're congealing and coming together in the physical. Does any of that resonate or ring a bell with you?
Of course. The similar to the dance of the celestial bodies, formations take place, the connections that take place. It's somewhat of someone expressed a beautiful metaphor to me. Actually, you know what? It was my mother. We had a conversation a couple of days ago, and she recognized she's into astrology heavy, and recognized the dance of the celestial bodies, and, you know, basically expressed to me that we're musical people. And she's like, it's a song. And I'm like, yeah, Mom, it's a song. And the notes play themselves, and crescendos, and the bridge, all of the hooks, everything is coming into place. And the thing is being that the energies are rising, everything it feels as if things are speeding up. The connections are starting to become more and more established. And the more sensitive we are as individuals, the more life is more of a continuous set of, or a continuous synchronicity, if you will. It's just constant. But once again, as we become more sensitive and recognize more and more about our experience, and we see the connections, the people just start to come in, and we make these moves, do these travels, and connect with people in different places in time. And it's like, you know what? I know what this is.
Yeah.
I've seen this movie before.
Right.
And I mean, we've been at this for quite some time now, so it's not necessarily anything startling for us that are well versed in this path. However, the significance of the connections become more and more pronounced and recognized as we move forward. So these are things that we definitely can embrace and take great joy in, because it only continues to compact or compound the validity of where we are, what we're doing, and who we're with, and everything that's taking place. And we recognize and see our path as divine and perfect, and allows us to be more graceful and trusting.
Yeah, well said. And I can add a couple things to that. The first thing I want to say too is, you know, it was difficult for me because this information came in, you know, like about a network, or even with you in particular, you know, back in 2015, I'm like seeing you, and I'm like seeing the crew, and I'm like, oh, we're going to do something together, you know, and you think it's going to happen like the next day.
Yeah,
you know? But I see these things happening now, and it's just like, I don't even worry about it. It's like you can see all the pieces falling into place. We went to Sedona 3 or 4 months ago.
Okay.
So we get over there, and I said, we're going to do something. We're going to have a soul gathering, Soulogy soul gathering. And they're like, where are you going to have it? I'm like, I don't know, you know, but we're going to do it, because I just knew it. I could see it. And then sure enough, a sister came in and said, I've got a space, right? Yeah. So long story short, we end up having this type of thing that you're talking about. There was a didgeridoo, the guy, Asterius Miraculous was there, who does
there we go, gotcha.
Yeah, he does this incredible rap, you know,
spirit rap.
And he does the didgeridoo. And then there was some other, you know, gongs and drums, and so like Romeo Barron came down from LA to do his gangster rap light language.
all right.
But the part that was really cool, all of it was cool. The energy that I thought was the most indicative of what you're talking about was Shakina Rose, who does harmonic light language. Morgan sends me a note because I'm in seeing it. She goes, you should get Shakina and Romeo up there and do a freestyle. So Shakina starts doing this harmonic light language freestyle. Romeo starts countering. I'm sitting in the audience filming it, and this lady walks up to me and says, I want to go up there with them. And I was like, I said, I don't know, man. I don't know if that's cool. I didn't right? So she looked at me with a funny face, and then she just got up there and walked up there and started doing it. And so it turned into this incredible freestyle, you know, verbalization of different languages backed by a harp. And I think there was some drum going behind it. But these are the things, and I walked away going, man, all the words don't mean anything. This frequency, this multiple frequency, this created this expanding vibration people are going to take with them. And I'm telling you, from that meeting, there was probably 40 people there, and we filmed it. But I mean, the connections that were made as a result of that, those intersecting soul coordinates is still going on. It's still going on. So that's what I see when you were talking about what you were talking about, and I see it happening.
Absolutely,
no doubt. No doubt. Do you think that we'll see, and I don't want to get trivial at all, but I mean, do you think that we'll see using a human perspective, okay, miraculous healings, supernatural feats, skills, abilities? You think it's possible, or even highly possible, that we'll be seeing this type of thing more mainstream or with more awareness to the collective in 2020?
Of course. Oh my God, of course. It's time. The information is there. Yeah. The expressions have been expressed. Everything has started to materialize, and it's coming more and more to the mainstream. It's just that once the awareness is triggered and it's accepted by many of us, these things will take place in our own lives. It's just that the awareness had to unfold first. The awareness is there. We see it being done on a grand scale. When it comes to many of those in the forefront that have this level of influence, just for example, Dr. Joe. Many of you are aware of Dr. Joe on his recent book, Supernatural, and some of the things that he's doing with the seminars. The testimonials are they're endless now.
Yeah,
we're talking about human ailments across the spectrum. Being reversed. And once again, all of this having to do with the energetic body, recognition of the energy centers, and the control being taken back from the individual, away from the dependency of organizations. Of course, there are conventional structures that we will still have to work alongside, but at the same time, at the foundation of it, we're being given the responsibility back based on our awareness, because once again, once you know, it's yours.
Yeah, that's right.
It's time.
Yeah.
Once you know it's being expressed and the testimonials is there, the consciousness is there, the awareness is there. It's just that now it's time for us to take this responsibility and do these things on our own.
Right on. One of the things that you do so well is, because you talk about the aspect that we're all aware of, but you talk about it in a different way. And that is the cabal, the Illuminati, the 1%, whatever, the Matrix. You talk about it in a very balanced, subjective way, a very matter of fact, which I think not very many people can do that, because they get caught up in the distortion and become a little bit too swing to one side or the other, and therefore they feed that. But anyway, so can you just kind of give us a summary? Because one of the things you talk about is they know what's going on. They know who you are. They can't stop it. This is what they're doing. You say it a lot better than I do, but if you could kind of just give us a general overview of that.
All right. So, yes, our rogues, we love them. Of course, they're in containment. Many of them are already in the process of being addressed by the judicial system within the spiritual hierarchies within this sector. Of course, Sirius being in charge of that aspect, being the senior within the sector of space. However, they are aware, gently and gracefully allowing the step down and the tear down of the system that is existing. Just as the physical manifestations and communications we are attempting to have or preparing to have with many of you, many of them have already had these experiences and have been addressed on many different levels as far as what they're capable of doing, what will no longer be allowed here amongst humanity, and the steps that need to be taken in order for the transition to happen smoothly. And they recognize the depth and seriousness of these experiences, because it affects them on a soul level. We're talking about many, many, many lifetimes into the linear experience that some of these karmic experiences have brought about. However, the negotiations continue to take place where they recognize the karmic repercussions of not allowing these experiences to take place. And they won't, I mean, once again, they've, they've recognized our capabilities as far as all the things that have been attempted to within the past 5 years or so, many efforts. But at this point, the top tiers of sacred organizations and the cabal in general are highly aware of what's going on, and now they're cooperating. And some of the lower aspects of that hierarchy are still attempting to parade distortions, if you will, to sustain themselves as far as that energy, the fear and rage, and some of the lower frequencies of expression have been attempted to continue on to sustain themselves, because that's how they survive here, is that fear, your fear, rage, outrage, if you will. However, once again, they're aware now, and the implementations, now we're at the tipping point where we can actually start knocking down quite a few different dominoes to start chain effects where real things are starting to take place, because the consciousness, the awareness amongst the and I don't necessarily want to say it like that, but amongst the lowest common denominators have been revealed. The awareness of our presence and the questions amongst humanity as a whole. It's too deep now. Yeah. So we're too deep in the game, and they recognize what it is. Now, as far as their removal and the announcements, as far as arrests are concerned, it's all prepared. It's all prepared. But once again, the gentle implementation of all of these things are necessary, because our intent is to not cause the least amount of chaos throughout the transition as possible. So we're kind of bleeding colors, like the colors of a rainbow, one into the other. And at this point, as you guys implement and you recognize your own power, humanity starts to implement and take responsibility for their own creative abilities and what they're able to do. Naturally, you'll start to see these revelations and step downs as far as with corporations. And once again, it's all based on consciousness as we take back the power individually, as individuals, as communities, as a society, as regions, it's almost like a wave, as this tremendous wave of consciousness and retrieval and acceptance of the power of creativity that we have. Then these structures will naturally dissolve, and they're prepared to do the work and accept the changes, because these changes are here. They're ready, and we're ready.
It sounds like, from what you're saying, that the judicial part of it, really probably all of it, but the judicial part of it first takes place in what we might call the etheric, or the non-physical.
Most definitely.
And then the awareness of those that have played that role is at a point where they know they can't stop this. They can't stop it.
Exactly.
You know? So they're aware of karma, and they're aware of what the alternative to not cooperating might be kind of painful. So,
and how useless it is, it is. So,
but I can also see your point too, which I think is a good point, because just as we were talking about personal contact with materialization of star family, and how that has to be bled into, the colors of the rainbow bled into, like you're talking about. I like that analogy. The same would go for it, almost like TMI, too much information. I mean, it would be like information overload. Oh my God, this happened and that happened, and this was a lie and that was a lie, and this person was a bad, and all that information would offer the same, energetic challenge to a human aspect that, personal contact with ET star family materializing in your room might cause.
Absolutely, that was perfectly expressed. And the idea remains in our focus being, or at least us harnessing this energy, because drama is going to take place alongside our elevation. It's a wave, and we're talking about simultaneous changes. We're dealing with the external changes and the internal changes. It's just that our advantage as far as awakened souls and servants of the light is in harnessing these energies for the internal changes, which are responsible for the external changes, the transcendent being responsible for the external experiences. It's just that it's going to take place. It's just that we're not necessarily waiting on the external changes to take place. It's going to simultaneously take place alongside our internal efforts and the work that we're doing internally. So it's like I'm recording music and doing all these things, and people are like, hey, Trump just got impeached. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, easy enough. I'm still recording. It happens simultaneously. It's just that we harness those energies not into being spectators, but creators.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. My dear friend who's come on here before on open mic, Victor McKenchny from Texas, homeboy.
All right.
He says, and Victor, I'm not picking on you. I just think this is part of what we do. We talk about it. We're here to expand. He says, they don't want to lose that power. Don't kid yourself. It's still going to be an uphill battle. But I think to Lavelle's point, it's one thing to look away and just say, oh, fluffy love and light. And that doesn't exist. But it's another thing to own your power, own your creativity, because that is our power, own your focus and your intentions. And I think that's what he just explained so well. What you just explained so well was, I'm over here making music and putting some raps down, and I get this information, and you get it and you move on. You get it and you move on, because your part of the universe is all you're responsible for. And I think we're learning more and more every day that by doing what you just described, it may seem mundane and it may seem like it's insignificant, but it's not. It's actually feeding that tsunami that you were talking about a while ago, that wave of consciousness. Is there anything that you're getting into, anything you want to talk about before we head out of here? I'm going to play another song on the way out the door, Universal Brothers and Sisters Circle. It's actually a really good one. Lavelle appears as Albert Einstein in the beginning of the show, beginning of the video. But it's a great, I love their music. They're on SoundCloud. I know they're on SoundCloud. There's got to be, I don't even know, 1,000.
Yeah, it's over 1,000.
1,500, because I've sat there and counted them before. This was months ago. But anyway, is there anything we can do to support you? Anything you'd like for us to be aware of, or any commentary, any advice, any rules of the road, anything that you want to say? The floor is yours.
The time for you to be you is now. This is your time. It's your time to create. It's your time to follow your excitement and unfold everything that you're here to unfold. Yes, there is tons of things that are changing, and it can be very exciting. Sometimes I'll pass a television set, and the news looks like Sunday or the Super Bowl. There's so much parading across the screen and sound effects and things, and I can appreciate that at its level. It's just that I recognize that there's energy being received now. It's coming in heavy, it's coming in hot, and it's there for me to use to unfold my part of this. It's beyond words how paramount this time is. And of course, there is much beauty for me to unfold. There's work for us to do. Yeah. There's something that I've been awaiting to reveal to the world for many, 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 many lifetimes, and now is the time. So, I mean, once again, I can appreciate all of it, the questions, the mind's questions, and listen, it's time.
Yeah.
We have things to do.
Yeah.
There's beauty to unfold, and it's all here for us. It's just that we have to give our focus to that which we're here to unfold. If there's any word that I could, that I would highlight or recommend, it would be, besides gratitude, it'd be authenticity. Mm-hmm. Because you're not here by accident. You're not who you are by accident. There are no accidents. You are you for a purpose right now. And if the world needs anything, it's you right now.
Yeah.
We need you. We need you to be you. We need you to laugh. We need you to express yourself. We need you to open your heart. We need you to go out there and say hello to everyone. We need you.
Yeah.
That's it. It's time.
Right on, man. Right
Let's
on. And looking at, you and Universal Brothers and Sister Circle and other people too, I think I'm getting chilled big time, but I think that I love the example, because I love that example you gave a minute ago about somebody told you Trump got impeached, because what were you doing? You were being creative. You were creating. And that's, I know it sounds ridiculous, but we actually influence to the highest degree when we can tap into our pure authenticity, which then links us to that incredible conduit of creativity. And you're right, there is a uniqueness to it that is our own. And I love what you said too about, I've been waiting lifetimes for this. And Jeanette, you're right, that was a mic drop. If I had a mic, I would have dropped it. Lavelle, I love you, man. I thank you always. I look forward to collaborating with you many, many times. And I always look forward to seeing you in the flesh at some point.
Of course.
And I know this side, the other side, or both sides, they're all the same side. It's going to happen. But I'm going to play a song. You might want to stick around. It's got a great message. Lavelle does make an appearance as Albert Einstein in the beginning. Don't let that take away from it. But it's a beautiful expression. And Lavelle, you take care. I'm gonna play this and then check out.
I love y'all. Let's go, humanity.
Right on. All right, this one's called "Soak It Up."
I go out there with wasabi on it like that because I like that nose burn. Just like, right. You done. Try me out, man. I can spit, so I'm alright. Hashtag drippin', it's the sloppy Joe. Go let it blow, go, hey, go, shower juice on me, I can't
Peace out, brother.
Love, bro.